Christmas morning, 1895. Inside America's largest house, the fires are lit, the crystal gleams, and the new electric lights chase away the mountain dark. It is a triumph, a miracle. But tonight, as the snow piles up against the limestone walls, another storm is brewing, one made of bills, of coal dust, of invisible labor. This palace was built to be a private paradise, but the man who dreamed it is about to discover a terrible truth. Some dreams are so beautiful, they begin to eat you alive. This is the real story of Biltmore. Not just the glittering facade you see on the postcard, but the crushing weight, the secret sacrifices, and the one question that haunted every corridor: who really pays for a castle? Our story begins not with stone, but with silence, with a man who hated crowded rooms. George Washington Vanderbilt II, grandson of the ferocious railroad tycoon Cornelius Vanderbilt, was the quiet soul in America's loudest family. While his brothers threw legendary parties in Newport, George disappeared into his books. He spoke 8 languages, collected rare manuscripts, and loved the science of forestry. His dream wasn't to impress society, it was to escape it. He wanted a sanctuary, a working estate, a library surrounded by mountains, a haven of quiet order. And in the misty Blue Ridge of Asheville, North Carolina, he found his canvas. He began buying land, not acres but miles. Over 125,000 acres. A kingdom, but a kingdom needs a castle. And for that, George hired the best, architect Richard Morris Hunt, the man behind New York's most lavish mansions, and landscape wizard Frederick Law Olmsted, the genius of Central Park. The vision was audacious, a French Renaissance chateau, transplanted to America, but wired with the latest technology. 4 acres under one roof, 35 bedrooms, 65 fireplaces, an indoor pool, a bowling alley, elevators, and a fire alarm system, all for one man, his mother, and a few guests. For 5 years the mountaintop was a chaos of creation. 1,000 men, Italian stonecutters, local carpenters, blacksmiths swarmed the site. A private railroad spur was built just to bring in the Indiana limestone. A woodworking mill hummed, turning oak into intricate panels. This wasn't just construction, it was a logistical war, and every day the money flowed out like water. The initial budget, $5 million, over $150 million in today's money, and that was just to build it. Christmas 1895 arrived, the house was finished, and for a moment, the dream was perfect. Guests arrived by carriage, their breath fogging in the cold air as they gazed up at the glacial stone facade. Inside they gasped. The entrance hall soared 70 feet. The library, with its 10,000 volumes, smelled of polished leather and old paper. The banquet hall could seat a small village. It was breathtaking. It was alive with light and music. But beneath their feet, in the belly of the beast, a different reality throbbed. A hidden city of servants, over 100 of them, scurried through miles of plain green-painted corridors. They were the invisible hands. In the basement, industrial boilers, big as locomotives, devoured tons of coal to heat the cavernous rooms. Engineers monitored electrical generators. Plumbers tended to miles of pipe. The house was a magnificent living organism, and it was starving, ravenous for fuel, for labor, for money. George's ledgers told the relentless truth. The annual operating cost was a vortex, $250,000 a year, millions today, salaries for hundreds, coal by the carload, repairs that never ended. The estate's farms and dairy couldn't cover it. The beautiful scientific forests managed by America's first forester Gifford Pinchot were a legacy for the future, not a paycheck for today. The difference came from one place, the steady drip of Vanderbilt investment income, and George began to feel the strain. He retreated further into his library, watching the snowfall, a quiet dread gathering. How long could this last? Then the outside world intruded. In 1913, the federal income tax was born. A chunk of George's vital investment income was now siphoned off to Washington. The math grew desperate. And then in 1914, the unthinkable. George Vanderbilt, only 51 years old, died suddenly, following an emergency appendectomy. The mountain of stone and the mountain of debt now belonged to his widow, Edith. Edith Vanderbilt walked into the silent library. She opened the ledgers, and she saw the abyss. The estate was bleeding cash. At this rate, Biltmore would drain the family fortune dry within a decade. Then it would be seized, sold off, ruined. She faced a brutal choice: let the dream die, or break her husband's heart to save his life's work. she chose to break it. In 1915, she made the hardest decision of her life. She sold nearly 90,000 acres of George's cherished forest land he had painstakingly restored to the federal government. It became the core of Pisgah National Forest. The sale saved the estate from immediate bankruptcy, but it was a profound amputation. She cut staff, she closed wings, the machine had to be shrunk to survive. But the world wasn't done with Biltmore. The Great Depression hit. Tourism to Asheville vanished. Edith, backed into a corner, made another revolutionary, and to her class, shocking decision. In March 1930, she opened the front doors to the public. Strangers would now walk through her home, paying $1 for a glimpse of a fading world. For a woman of her upbringing, it was a profound loss of privacy, a personal sacrifice to keep the lights on. But it worked. People came, desperate for beauty in a bleak time. Then, during World War II, the house found its most secret purpose. With fears of bombing on the coasts, the National Gallery of Art needed a safe haven for its priceless masterpieces. And so, in the dead of night, trucks rolled up to Biltmore's service entrance. Crates containing works by Rembrandt, Raphael, and Gilbert Stuart's iconic portrait of George Washington were stored in the darkened music room. The palace built for private pleasure became a vault, protecting America's cultural soul. That spirit of adaptation became Biltmore's salvation. After the war, under the leadership of later generations, it fully embraced its public destiny, not as a crumbling relic, but as a professionally run historic site, a working farm, a winery, a cornerstone of the North Carolina economy employing thousands. The family never left. They still lived there, in private quarters, but they understood. To preserve the dream, they had to share it. So who really paid for Biltmore? George Vanderbilt paid with his fortune, and perhaps with the quiet anxiety of his later years. Edith Vanderbilt paid with her privacy and her painful, pragmatic choices. The unseen army of servants and builders paid with their labor. And in a way, every visitor since has paid, their tickets funding the endless work of preservation, the careful replacing of slate, the conservation of carved stone, the constant battle against time. The cost of this dream wasn't just a number in a ledger. It was the price of adaptation, the humility to change a vision's purpose so its essence could survive. Biltmore is no longer just a house. It's a lesson, a testament to the idea that the greatest beauty isn't in being forever frozen in perfection, but in being resilient, in learning to serve so that you can endure. If these deep investigations into the hidden stories behind America's grandest estates resonate with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly makes this deep dive storytelling possible. Tell me in the comments, which house should we explore next? The thunderous coast of Hearst Castle? The tragic elegance of Lyndhurst? Or a forgotten Gilded Age ghost? Every mansion has a shadow. Let's uncover the next one together. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next investigation.